You suddenly awake at 3 a.m. If you can pass out right this second, you have exactly 4 hours and 12 minutes before the alarm goes off. You haven't rested at all. In the end, you can't fall asleep, tossing and turning in bed, hating yourself and your brain for overthinking. Then, you grab your phone in the dark and Google how to fall asleep in exactly 5 minutes. You're absolutely convinced that if you don't sleep for 8 hours straight without waking up, you have insomnia, terrible stress, and your body and sleep cycle are hopelessly broken, and that the next day will be awful, unproductive, and you'll be sleepy all day with red eyes. Today, based on scientific publications, we will know how we actually used to sleep, why 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep is not necessary, and how a light bulb broke a system that evolution built 300,000 years in a row. The idea that we should fall asleep at 10 p.m. and wake up at 6 a.m. every single day is just one option, not the only biologically possible routine. Historian Roger Eghurch spent years sifting through a mountain of archival records, diaries, and old medical texts and proved something astonishing. Before the invention of electricity, people slept completely differently. For many, sleep was often divided into two parts, separated by an hour or several hours of quiet wakefulness. And today, by examining modern research, we'll figure out how we actually slept, why our ancestors woke up in the middle of the night, and how artificial light drastically changed humanity's relationship with the night, a relationship that evolution had meticulously fine-tuned over 300,000 years. During the day, our ancestors were resourceful. They tracked animals, made tools, and patrolled their territory. But for hundreds of thousands of years, sunset meant one thing. It was time to hide immediately. At night, humans were more vulnerable. Vision was poorer, predators were more active, and safety depended more heavily on the group, fire, and shelter. About 1 million years ago, our distant ancestors began to show some of the earliest reliable evidence of fire use. But the regular mastery of fire likely took hold later. And fire was needed not only for roasting game, fire gave humanity extra time with light. Before that, tribal life came to a standstill as soon as the sun went down. Fire created a safe zone for us and gave us extra hours. Anthropologist Polly Wisner spent years studying tribes in the Kalahari and noticed a clear social division. She found that during the day, most of people's conversations revolved around everyday matters. Who went where, the best hunting spots, complaints about neighbors. But as soon as evening fell and the fire was lit, storytime began. Myths, religions, culture, and social bonds were born around the fire. Darkness didn't kill us. It forced us to sit in a circle, look each other in the face, and talk. Now let's return to sleep. In pre-industrial Europe, few people tried to sleep for 8 hours straight. People went to bed shortly after sunset, slept for about 4 hours, and then woke up. This nighttime break lasted 1 to 2 hours and was called a watch. For us, waking up in the middle of the night is a tragedy, since we have school, work, or college tomorrow. For them, it was a productive time. Peasants could get up to stoke the fire, monks recited prayers, and for large, poor families living in a single cramped room, it was often the only time for intimacy, quiet conversations, and absolute privacy. Do you think this is just a strange habit? In the 1990s, psychiatrist Thomas Weir decided to test this in a lab. He placed people in conditions where the night lasted 14 hours, a simulation of a typical winter night in temperate latitudes. No screens, no lamps, just darkness. At first, people simply slept for 11 hours straight, paying off their modern sleep debt. But by the 4th week, a miracle occurred. Their sleep, on its own, and without any instructions, split into 2 4-hour segments. And in the interval between them, people felt no anxiety. Sources describe elevated prolactin levels and a state of calm, almost meditative wakefulness. But not all ancient people slept this way. A 2015 study showed that some modern pre-industrial tribes in Tanzania, Namibia, and Bolivia sleep in a single continuous block. What does this tell us? Human sleep is incredibly flexible. It is not a rigidly programmed process, but an adaptive mechanism that adjusts to the environment and culture. The only problem is that our modern environment has turned out to be too toxic for this. Even the words we're familiar with preserve the memory of those times. Take the English word curfew. It comes from the Old French couvre-feu, which literally translates to cover the fire. In the Middle Ages, this was a signal to extinguish the lights and go to bed. Night was a strict boundary that could not be crossed. But then came the Industrial Revolution. It was unprofitable for factories to sit idle in the dark. And in 1879, Edison publicly demonstrated a practical system of electric lighting, and this became a symbol of a new era. We literally abolished darkness. Life no longer depended on the sun. It came to depend on clocks and efficiency. We gained 24-hour stores, safe, well-lit streets, and night shifts. But we paid for this comfort with our biological clocks. Nowadays, we've come a long way and put a small, rectangular, bright sun right in our pockets. In our eyes, in addition to the well-known cones and rods, there are special cells. They're called IPRGCs. They help the brain assess ambient light levels and synchronize our internal clock with day and night. These receptors are evolutionarily tuned for maximum sensitivity to the short wavelengths of the blue spectrum. Why? Because a blue sky is the main indicator of a bright day, and it is precisely this intense blue light that illuminates the screens of our smartphones, tablets, and monitors. When you're lying in bed at 1 a.m. scrolling through your feed, your phone isn't just a cure for boredom, it's a real biological weapon. It sends a light signal to your brain that can shift your internal clock, suppressing the production of melatonin, the very hormone that's supposed to lull your body to sleep. Your body may ache with fatigue, your eyes may be closing, but your brain is genuinely convinced that it's daytime. We force ourselves to stay awake, and then we wonder why we can't fall asleep. It seems there's no turning back, and we're doomed to be a society of exhausted zombies who are also addicted to mindless scrolling. But science offers us hope. A stunning study published in the journal Current Biology has proven that our ancient mechanism isn't completely broken. Scientists took a group of people with severe sleep disorders who were used to falling asleep well past midnight and sent them on a hike in the Colorado mountains. No smartphones, no flashlights, just natural sunlight during the day and a campfire at night. Even a weekend in nature was enough to noticeably shift the biological clock forward. But this isn't a complete reset, just a quick partial shift. Light has saved millions of lives. Electricity is perhaps humanity's greatest achievement, but we've given up something important in exchange for it. We lost those quiet, screen-free hours, the campfire as a natural gathering place. We lost that moment in the middle of the night when we could wake up in complete silence, recall our dreams, reflect on life, and not stress about having to get up early for work tomorrow. Modern life didn't just give us light, it broke our relationship with the night. And now, when we wake up in the dark, our first reaction isn't to listen to the silence, but to pick up our smartphone. And along with this true darkness, it seems we've lost that version of ourselves that knew what to do with it. So here's the bottom line. 8 hours of straight sleep isn't some ancient biological law. For 300,000 years, human sleep was naturally flexible, often split into two calm phases with quiet wakefulness in between, as our ancestors did around the fire and as Thomas Weir proved in his lab. The solution isn't another sleep hack. It's returning to what we lost. Real daylight during the day, real darkness at night, and when you wake at 3 a.m., don't reach for your phone. You're not broken. You're just remembering how we were meant to sleep. Now turn off the screen and let the night do what it was always supposed to do.